Hi, I'm Mikael Melo. I'm in 4th year RTA Media Production and I'm the founder and producer of Body 365. I think to me marketing is kind of like a large picture. You're kind of, it's almost like a blank canvas that you're able to put so much on there. Like with marketing, you have this idea and you really want to push it as far as you can, so you want to reach all aspects of this canvas. And you know, some parts of the canvas need to be blue in the sense of like some people react differently to different stuff, and like some parts need to be yellow because some people want to feel more emotionally attached to whatever you're marketing. And sometimes you're even like marketing yourself, and I think like a lot of the jobs I've gotten have been like through like my own social media or like videos I've done, or just like been able to like marketing. One of my favorite jobs I've ever gotten, I was actually like kind of flirting with someone at a club, and then they gave me a job afterwards. So it was like you're marketing yourself in everyday life and everything that you're doing. So I think marketing is everywhere, and like you really just need to harness that and know how to market in a way that appeals to the different sides of the canvas. So Body 365 is a body positive movement. So I kind of pitch it as, think of Humans of New York, but for body types. So we have different body types from different races, genders, sexual orientation, disabled bodies, the whole spectrum. Because at the end of the day, we all have a body, and when we say we want to make sure that we have everybody included. When we say everybody, we actually mean everybody, because I think as humans, like that's the one thing that kind of connects us all, is like we all have bodies and they all function in different ways and we all feel differently about those bodies. And I think like no one can confidently stand in front of you and say like I've never been insecure about my body, because everyone has something about them. And I think it's kind of one of those, the grass is always greener on the other side things. So it's kind of just taking people, putting them in a very vulnerable situation and kind of having them open up about how they struggled with their body, whether that be visually or mentally and stuff like that. I think the reason I wanted to do a body positive campaign was essentially when I was a lot younger, I was a lot chubbier, and I was like really bullied about my body. So I remember when I was younger, my dad had a heart attack, and he kind of like woke me up to be like, okay, I need to start taking care of my health. And I kind of always had this like end goal where I was like, once I'm like thin, I'll be the happiest I've ever been. But then once I reached, because I went from around like 175 to 115, and I was like probably the most upset I've ever been in my whole life. And I just realized that, you know, it wasn't how I looked, it was like changing how I felt about my body that was more important than changing how it visually looked. And I always kept that a secret because I felt like as a boy you were never able to openly talk about your body. But then, you know, I think it was beautiful. I started talking to people. Like, for example, I have a godson, and he kind of came to me one day when we were hanging out, and he was saying, oh, like, some kids were calling me chubby, and it kind of made me think, like, I wish when I was younger I could see that there's supposed to be all these different body types, and you're not just supposed to see like the six-pack and like that kind of thing, like we're all made differently. And so from there I was like, I just want to do a project where it's like that constant reminder on your feet that like you're supposed to be different, and you gotta embrace that and like love your body, whether that's your curves, your muscles, your little flaws and stuff like that, and embracing that. So that's kind of where the idea came from. Yeah, so I think actually it's really funny when you compare like Body 365 and marketing, because at first I just wanted to do it as a simple like flip book. Like I think we were originally I was like, oh, I want to make this like a calendar, and I'll just ask 12 of my friends to do it and kind of do that. And I think through word of mouth, a lot of people were kind of like, oh, like this feels like it'd be a lot bigger. And like through that kind of marketing approach, I was like, okay, maybe I should take this in a different angle. And so being a huge fan of Humans in New York, I love the simple marketing of that, where it's like, it's almost just like you find it by accident, but it's there, and there's like a lot of feed, and it keeps getting shared. And the reason it markets so well is because it's so shareable and relatable. And it doesn't matter if like like there's a photo I can think of right now where it's like I might not be a homeless person, but I really related to what that story was. And I think with body types as well, it's like I might not visually look like what that person looks like, but I relate to what their story is. And I think that's like a very powerful marketing tool, is like your emotional and like the relatability of marketing. Obviously I'm like a business student, so I don't know if that's the right terminology, but what I think is like super important about like my project and why I wanted to market it the way I did is the goal is to shoot a large number of people, hopefully 365, but the idea is someone could look at the feed, and whether they relate to someone visually or through their story, I just want to make sure we're making that connection and they're like, wow, I feel good, like I feel empowered, and I feel like I'm going to take the next step to body positivity. Right now, like Facebook and Facebook analytics are like such a powerful tool, and obviously Facebook and Instagram go hand in hand since they're owned by the same company. And I think just like really knowing your analytics, and like obviously our projects, we're trying to market to everybody because like everyone has a body type, but we are trying to solicit like, you know, a generation that maybe like if you've already liked health and wellness on Facebook, or if you've liked body positivity, like then perhaps like we're trying to, we put our analytics in that way, so like we market to you because you're already advocating for that, so you're probably gonna like the project anyways. We've also kind of touched base on like, we met with some rehab in terms of rehab locations in terms of like what people might be going through. So we actually like in early analytics also did like magazine publications, if you've liked this page, or if you've liked you know, teen magazines and stuff like that, because sometimes it's like you see those images and you become so obsessed that like that's sometimes what triggers an eating disorder from what we've learned. So in our analytics we're trying to like market also to that same audience, so that we kind of like show up as like a, hey, don't forget that like you're beautiful just the way you are too, and like although so is insert actor's name here, like you're also just as great. And I think that's something important to remember when you're marketing, is that at the end of the day you're just marketing to people, and we all want to feel like the same things.